He's a war hero because we work together. He's a war hero. I guess I am too.
Yep.
Nobody cares, but I am too. I mean, I sent those planes.
So that was Donald Trump calling Netanyahu a war hero, and he followed up by saying that he's one too. And it is so disgusting considering that this guy has been the most disrespectful president that we've ever had when it comes to the military and when it comes to the troops. This is the guy who really got his whole political career started when he mocked John McCain's service and said that John McCain wasn't a hero because he got caught. And he said, I like soldiers that don't get caught. That right there, I really thought was going to be the end of him back then, because we had went through all the years of the Bush administration, and they were always talking about being patriotic and what it meant to be patriotic and what it meant to support the troops and to support the military. So when Donald Trump insulted John McCain on that level, I said, this has got to be it. They've got to break with him. They didn't. They doubled down. He goes on to call veterans suckers and losers. They double down on that, say it's a fake news story and don't care. And this guy, I mean, I forgot all the things that he said along the way, but he compared not getting an STD to his own personal Vietnam. There's been so many times that he's said something disrespectful about the troops and about the military, but now here he is calling himself a war hero when he himself has the National Guard on the streets of his own country. And everybody is sitting back saying, look, this isn't that big of a deal. These states are sending in the Guard and all these things. It's like, look, this really isn't that big of a deal. Why aren't you sending the Guard? If you're going to do that, why aren't you sending them to the southern states who have much more dangerous cities? But it's all about Donald Trump flexing, and it's all about Donald Trump cosplaying. Donald Trump has never been anything other than a spoiled brat who became a businessman. But as he became a businessman, he never actually had to work his way up in anything. He never had to prove himself in anything. It was already there. It was already predetermined and gave to him. No wonder he's a WWE Hall of Famer. The results was already determined ahead of time, and he was always put in those places. But this isn't a guy that grew up and struggled and worked his way up from the bottom. This isn't a guy who ever worked an ordinary day job. This isn't a guy who ever had to sit and pay his bills. When Donald Trump talks about groceries, he calls it an old-fashioned word. And the reason why he calls it an old-fashioned word is because he's never had to worry about the grocery bill himself. He's never actually went to the store and put the stuff in the cart himself and had to stand there and pay for it, and then in the back of his mind have his bank account in the back of his mind. How many of you have stood there while your groceries are being rang up and you're like, man, I've got this much in the bank. I really hope this doesn't send me into the red. We've all been there. We've all struggled with that. We've all sat and figured, okay, what do I have to sacrifice this month in order to be able to live to the next one, in order to be able to survive to get to the next one? All of those things that we've ever sat and went through, he's never went through it. It was already prepared and gave to him. He never had to have those struggles. And when it was his time to serve his country, he didn't. And now suddenly he wants to be this big power guy, throwing the military around and calling himself a war hero. And then he goes off on these rants about grass. And I know that I have not played very many of his clips since the election. I try to avoid that. But folks, this dude is completely unhinged. Not only is he cosplaying and pretending to be a tough guy, he's just completely off his rocker. What in the hell is he talking about here about bringing back grass? He knows more about grass than anybody. No, I'm not making this up. Take a look.
One of the things we're going to be redoing is your parks. I'm very good at grass because I have a lot of golf courses all over the place. I know more about grass than any human being, I think, anywhere in the world. And we're going to be regrassing all of your parks, all brand new sprinkler systems, the best that you can buy, just like Augusta. No, it'll look like Augusta. It'll look like, more importantly, Trump National Golf Club. That's even better. But we're going to have all brand new, beautiful grass. You know, like everything else, grass has a life. Do you know that? Grass has a life. You know, we have a life and grass has a life. And the grass here died about 40 years ago. So we're going to be rebuilding all of your parks, and it's going to happen fast. It's going to go up like a miracle. So.
And do you want to know what my biggest pet peeve with the media is on stuff like this? They will just normalize this and same wash this and be like, oh yeah, Donald Trump was talking about bringing back grass. And they'll never stop and say, that is some of the craziest, most batshit things that we've ever heard come out of someone's mouth. What in the hell is he talking about? What really got us to this dance, folks, and where we're at now is the mainstream media always normalizing this and pretending as though that's how you're supposed to act, not only as a politician, but as a human being. They sit back and just normalize that kind of rhetoric. And then when people like us gets called out, we get called an internet troll. I want to show you this clip here of Gavin Newsom and Fox News reacting to this because, oh my God, this is just terrible in their mind. Take a look.
That does for our side. It fires us up. It gets us going. These memes of you riding a velociraptor with like a 12-pack and 2 freaking rifles in your hand.
Oh, I know. I'm in good shape. How about my bicep?
I bet you could do a real pull-up on like headset and the other. Yeah.
Yeah, that was an internet troll on a podcast talking about the Secretary of Defense 46th, 47th, and 48th pull-up in the Pete and Bobby Challenge, while glazing Gavin Newsom over his hard-to-see biceps. This is an interesting trend. Democrats who do nothing make fun of those who actually do.
Yeah, they'll sit and criticize Newsom all day long for that one, but yet Donald Trump can go out there with a white supremacist like Andrew Tate, and he can go out there with that Aiden Ross kids who sits there and sniffs their seat after they stand up. And Fox News would spin that, oh, Trump is out there hanging out with influencers. They would never tell you the type of people that they truly are. And if we pointed it out, well, we were just trying to just create a bunch of hysteria. It's absolute crazy. It truly is. It's crazy that they will sit there and let this man say and do these things, and they will normalize and same-wash it. And then when someone starts giving him a dose of his own medicine and exposing just how stupid that MAGA truly is, then suddenly they're appalled by that. They're appalled right now at Gavin Newsom. Oh my God, he's got a state to run. Shouldn't he be acting more serious? And meanwhile, you got a man who has made fun of prisoners of war. You know, I didn't agree with John McCain's politics. I didn't vote for him. But the dude was tortured. Okay? I'm not going to sit here and badmouth a man who was tortured and mock that service when I myself never served. And I'm not going to sit here and call people suckers and losers. And if I did, I would expect y'all to say, fuck you. That's how it should be. But he always goes out here and gets away with this stuff, and then people continues to sit and normalize and double down and same-wash it, and we can't do that. He's not a war hero, number one. Neither is Netanyahu. And I don't know what the hell that rant was about bringing back grass, and he knows more about grass than anybody. But I know it's insane, and I know it should be called out as such, and we'll continue to do so. So, folks, I do want to thank you so much for your support here on the channel. We're cruising toward 1 million subscribers. I do believe we can get there by the end of the year at the rate that we're going. So if you like this kind of content, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. It doesn't cost anything to do that. But if you ever do want to throw a few bucks our way, we do have a Patreon. We have members only, and we've been putting exclusive content over there. But, yeah, knows more about grass. What doesn't this guy know about? He claims to know about everything, but I would be willing to bet that the dude has never in his lifetime cut the grass. I bet that dude has never did anything that any of us have done. The basic day-to-day things that you and I do, this guy has never done it. And yet somehow he convinced so many people to believe that he is the guy that knows the most about anything. I can't imagine being in a position where you look to Donald Trump to be the guy to tell you about something you didn't know about. I can't imagine getting in that person's brain and walking around, and I wouldn't want to.